Well, hello everyone, and welcome back. Or if you're joining us for the first time, we're happy that you're here. I'm Nikki with the Real Joy Project, and my partners in crime are.
Jenny, I'm here. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. I am Shelby.
Yeah, so thanks for joining us. And we are going to talk all things gratitude today with you on our coffee chat. But one of the first things that we wanted to ask, usually we hear people say that it's the reason for the season when you get closer to Christmas. But when we are thinking about Thanksgiving coming up and that holiday, we remember that it's Thanksgiving, giving thanks for something. So you often get asked at the dinner table when you're having Thanksgiving, what are you grateful for? And it seems like everybody and their dog says, family and friends. And so I think what we should do today is what are you thankful for beyond family and friends? So you want to start, Miss Jenny Lee?
Yeah, definitely. So I would say today, the one thing I'm super grateful for is today's weather because it is supposed to be 64 degrees. I'm in North Dakota. It's almost Thanksgiving. I mean, it is absolutely beautiful. I got a gorgeous walk in this morning. So yeah, I'm going to say the weather. And I have been sitting upstairs in the sunshine. I've been outside already. I plan to be outside a little bit later today to take advantage of that. So yeah, definitely the weather today.
How about you, Shelb?
Well, I can't steal weather too, even though down in Texas, the weather is fabulous right now. Um, Although my dog is part of our family, I am thankful to have another year with him. He will be 10 years old on Wednesday. And so I'm just very thankful to have such a loving and loyal companion in our family and the opportunity for our daughter to grow up and see our dog Rems.
Awesome. That sounds like a fabulous ability or what you're grateful for. I would say I too wanted to say the sunshine. As you can see it coming in the beautiful windows. You won't see if they're clean or dirty behind me. As I too went for a morning walk this morning. But I would say that I am grateful for the flexibility that my jobs have given me. I actually am able to work the day job, quote unquote, a couple days a week and then do co-consulting and the Real Joy Project the other days. And so I just love the flexibility that that gives me. I really didn't have that at other times in my life. And so for the longest time, I thought I should keep it under wraps. And I'm like, why should I keep it under wraps? Let other women know or other people know that there's that ability out there. We just have to dream it or we have to manifest it and realize that it's out there and it's for the taking. So I'm glad for the jobs that I have. So yeah. So let's take it from there and let's talk more about gratitude. I mean, it's a relatively small word, but there's so many things that can be talked about with gratitude. I think actually sometimes people get a little bad taste in their mouth when they hear people say it like, "Oh, you're just so grateful," right? Not necessarily really letting it be deeper than skin deep. And I think for me, when I think of gratitude, I think it's when we're not just doing the pleasantries, like, "Oh, thanks for coming." When we take that moment and pause and we really say, "Hey, thanks for stopping by and checking in on me or sending me that random text that I haven't talked to you or text you in 9 months and I thought you had dropped off the face of the earth or our friendship was dead, whatever it was. And then you just get this pop up or you get a random card in the mail and says, thank you so much for you being with me or, thinking about me. I know Jenny Lee her and I just sent a Marco back and forth, I think yesterday, and just reiterated how much we were grateful for one another. And that's not where the conversation started, but that's where the conversation ended up going. And it's sometimes in those moments that you take stock of what you are instead of taking people for granted because I think that can happen in our fast-paced world. We've got the blinders on and we're only thinking about what's in front of us and we get lost in that and then we look up one day and we're like, man, I'm kind of lonely. Like, where are all the people? And it's because we got so sucked into just what we're doing or what's in front of us and that doesn't mean that that person doesn't care about you, right? Often it's that they're in, like we've talked about before, different seasons of our lives and we get caught up in that or we're working too much or not. And, so I think that's where I really take stock in when somebody takes that time to, uh, give me a note. I love to send like voice memos on people's phones. I love for them to hear my voice. I want them to hear me have that true, authentic compassion and love for them. I want them to hear that from me. So that's one of the things that I do to show gratitude. How about either one of you?
Go ahead, Shelby.
I love what you said, Nikki. I think the same thing goes for me. In our previous episode, I talked about with the holidays coming up and how everybody is just kind of spread out and doing their own thing. And I feel like the older I've gotten, the busier everybody has gotten, not just us. So trying to be grateful this time of year for, my friends that are still hanging on to friendships with me, but also just being close to family as well. I think right now I'm extremely thankful for our phones, honestly, and technology. Being so far away from my family, I'm down in Texas. All of my family's up in the Montana area. Um, so even like my parents don't get to see Lakin even on a weekly basis. So just being able to FaceTime and stay connected with my parents, as well as some friends that are still up there too. So just keeping that connection and, like you said, kind of making the effort to go out of the way to make sure that we're staying close to those people, but also just being in the moment when you do have a chance with them. Maybe it is that voice message that you send instead of a quick text. I know I'm guilty of it today. It's one of my aunt's birthdays, and I sent her a text message, and deep down, a phone call would have made a much better happy birthday, right? So just when I have the opportunity, actually taking advantage of that, but being present and in those moments too.
Mhm, mhm,
I think that like gratitude when it comes to connection can be done in so many different ways too, even if it's not said out loud. It is
mhm.
just that little text is definitely that meant a lot to her. I'm sure it did, because you thought of her. To me, that's the number one thing is like somebody thought about you or you thought about them. And so that gratitude doesn't necessarily have to be said like I'm grateful for you if that's something that's uncomfortable for you to say, but it's just stopping to say hi like you said, or sometimes even just sending a funny message like this made me think of you. Or we were talking about like on our last episode when we talked about the holidays, and we were talking about how gifts and like how that's not the reason of the season, but we were just talking about this in my family because I think we're going to cut back on Christmas as far as grandma and the cousins and the bigger round. And um how now, if I see something like my mom and my sister, for example, and this is kind of trickling down to the rest of us, and me and my sister too, we don't buy each other something every holiday and every birthday. But if I see something that's like, oh man, that really makes me think of her, and the holiday's coming up, I will tuck it away and give it to her privately, maybe not in a big round of circle with everybody else. And that's a to me, that's a way of showing gratitude. Like, is those small, like, I thought of you when I saw this. I didn't have to do this, or I should say, even for people that are doing that for me, you didn't have to do that. Like, oh, thank you. So it means a lot if it's something they didn't have to do. It wasn't expected. So I think gratitude can be shown and not just said also.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
I think the other thing that happens is I love that, and I think it doesn't always have to be like you said, giving of gifts. It can be if something reminds you, and I think that's what really can have that impact, right? That's what we're hoping for. But I also think it comes, and this is where people tend to say it's more woo-woo or hippie like, where we're like, well, something bad happens or something happens that we didn't want to happen or we didn't foresee happening. And I will say there are things in my life that I am not going to be grateful for. Like for one of them, I'm not grateful for losing my daughter. No, I'm not. But I will look at things and maybe something didn't happen or that I thought was going to happen or I wanted to happen. And we sometimes can kind of get down on ourselves and think, well, geez, God didn't want me to have it, or I'm just not, I'm an unlucky person or whatever. And stepping back and taking that pause. And again, at a different point in my life, I never did that. I was just go, 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 go,
Yeah.
go. Now I'm in a different space where I will step back and try to take in the lay of the land, so to speak, and realize, okay, that didn't happen. What, look at everything and what now happened, or the subsequent things that didn't happen, then I'm grateful that those didn't happen, right?
Yeah.
For example, if somebody got in a car accident, but it was a minor fender bender, I was grateful that we didn't have a loss of life or something like that. So I'll try. It doesn't mean that everything is rainbow and sunshine, right? It's just that I'm trying to see that positive space as well. And also what we know is when what we think about is what we bring about, and especially even more so what we say, we'll see more of that. And so that's something that I've tried to do. For some people, they write it down, in a journal or different things like that. For me, sometimes it's almost like I have an adverse, like it's like get hives if I say I'm going to write something down. So for me at night, sometimes I get in a mode and I just want to write everything down. Other times I'm so aversive to it. And, different coaches that I've had over time, or even friends or people have said, well, just say it. So while I'm laying my head on the pillow before I go to sleep at night, that's when I do it. Is I one of the classes that I was in years ago, it used to be 3 things that you're grateful for, 3 intentional things that you want to do tomorrow, and different things like that. So I try to integrate that with my prayers, whether you believe in God or not, but I try to bring that gratefulness. So that's the last thing that I'm thinking about before I go to sleep at night. I try not to just say big things. I try to think of more specific things that, it could be that I could gravel that, oh, I've had to warm up my coffee twice, but I could also say, well, you know what? How lucky are you that you're just getting to work from home today and you just get to go pop it in the microwave and have some more of your coffee, right? So those are things that I know for me help me to be mindful that there are a lot of blessings that I didn't even realize I had. Mhm.
Well, Nikki and I have been joking that we've been living in each other's heads lately. And so, sometimes we scribble notes as we start the conversation. And as you two were doing your introductions, I wrote down for the unexpected and the things you didn't want along the way. So I was like, here Nikki starts talking about this. But I have been really trying to, you're driving down the road and you get behind a tractor. That happens up in North Dakota, or some slow cars. You're like, oh, I'm late for my appointment. And as you girls know, I'm usually running late. So then you're like frustrated and angry and mad. And then sometimes I pause and I'm like, okay, I hear you. Thank you for reminding me to slow down and to pause. For whatever reason, I am being told at this moment to slow down. And who knows what that means? Who knows what was coming ahead of me if I was 5 minutes faster, or, and so that unexpected, or working somewhere where I left a job once that I never thought I would have left. It was one of the best paying jobs and best benefits and stuff in the area. And I'm not going to go into it since this is recorded publicly, but I left. The reason I left at the time, I was frustrated and angry. And later I was like, I became a stay-at-home mom after that, not planned. I became a stay-at-home mom for a couple years and got that opportunity. And it was like, oh, that's why that happened. That's why I was moved out of that job. That's why I left that job. Or the things that were happening that made me choose to leave that job. And I was so angry and bitter for a while at those things. And then eventually it was like, oh, wait, that happened for a reason. I never would have left that job as a choice if those negative things weren't happening to me,
So true.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah. You can look back later and be like, oh, I'm so grateful that person was a jerk.
Yes.
I'm so, like sometimes people come into your lives and it's like, why did this person come into my life? Because bad things happen, and later, and sometimes it takes several years, and you're like, I'm just really grateful that person was a big jerk and mean and this and that. Because man, did I learn a lot.
Great. Agreed.
I think I can relate to both of you. I've had some friendships lately that maybe I've learned some lessons, and I am trying to see the positive and be grateful for that situation. But I did want to talk more on what you said too, Nikki, finishing the day out with things that you're grateful for. I know I start my day every morning with just a quiet moment to myself, and it's a great opportunity to start your day in a positive way and a grateful way, but I think sometimes we forget to finish the day grateful as well. One of the things my husband and I do, we haven't done it as much recently, but it's something that I'm looking forward to him and I getting back to doing on a regular basis, is at night before we like say goodnight and officially go to sleep, we'll ask each other 3 questions. And one of them's, what was your favorite thing from the day? What was your least favorite thing from the day? And then the third one is, how can I help you? Um, but just starting it out, we always start with the not so good thing first to like clear the air, get that out there, and then finish up with the positive thing that happened to us during the day. And it's funny, every time we've shared these things, it was at the beginning, it was kind of hard to like find things that didn't go well, that, you know, like the not so good things, because we were trying to practice finishing the day out on that positive and grateful note. So that's one tool that we've used together and we both enjoy it a lot, just like ending the day on a positive note and sharing something from our day that maybe we forgot to tell each other, or there just wasn't a moment to share with one another. And it's brought us together too, in a like a way to connect at the end of the day too.
I used to do that when I
Wow.
picked my kids up from school. We would talk about like what were the 3 good things that happened to you today. And we some like you said, sometimes my kids would get in at a certain age and be like, "Can I vent?" I'm like, "Yep, go ahead." And then let them vent and then pause and be like, "Okay, so what was something good that happened to you today?" And I think doing it like before bed, like you said, then your mind is in that state. Like you've talked through a few things and you're relaxed and you're gonna sleep better. Our mind is a powerful, powerful thing.
It really is. It
Absolutely.
really is. I think the other thing that that reminds me of is that what's something that this is interesting when people really let down their guards, something that you might be grateful for, someone might feel ungrateful for.
Yeah.
So even your husband and you sharing some of those things that didn't go so well. I mean, that's a whole nother conversation about communication, but not understanding, which when we had Marty on, I'm trying to, or
Yep.
yes. And, she talked about that invisible labor. And that has been something that has stuck with me so long. I've had so many conversations with people about that, but really talking about how maybe something could seem so small to someone else, but was literally was the thorn in your side that day. And when you're not having to be the mom all day. So an example, like Shelb and I think when we were on Marco together, right, you had said, I said, oh my gosh, on Veterans Day, I decided I was staying home and I got a bunch of stuff done. And I want to actually say, well, I got stuff done that I wanted to get done, but then I sat my happy little butt on this couch over here and enjoyed, some Netflix and chilling. And I said, I'm not getting out of my pajamas today. Even though there were things that I could have gone and done, I really wanted to have that time to myself. And that was an indication to myself that I'm giving you permission to stay home and not have to leave and do anything. And Shelby responds, she's like, I look for any reason to like actually get dressed and get out of that. And so it just goes back to, right? It's also the season you're in. I remember during COVID, you know, I was in this realm for so long and in so many meetings, I mean, I think if we all stood up right now, we'd get a very interesting bottom look compared to our top look, right? And so it just goes back to it's all about where you're at and the perspective. Perspective, I'm sure we've all heard where your perspective is your reality. And I listened to a podcast years ago, and it was about somebody that had written a book, and of course I can't remember who it is. Welcome again to perimenopause brain, but where they talked about, how many times do we hear people say, "Well, that's not what happened," right? That's like when you were growing up. I'm the oldest of four, and I know I remember thinking, oh, life was so much easier for my siblings. I was the first one going through everything. My parents were as staunch, strict as could possibly be. I could not drive my boyfriend had to come, which is now my husband, had to come out and get me, take me to town, bring me back. I mean, the amount of money they spent on gas that he spent on gas that his parents spent on gas to come and get me, right? Um, but I was like, oh, your life had to have been easier after I left, right? Because like I blazed the trail. And because that was my perspective. But then as we grew up and my siblings started to share about different things, at first I was like, whatever, that was not that way. But it was. So therefore, I was grateful that certain things happened in my life, and they were probably grateful that certain other things happened in their lives. And so it just goes to show you, you can be in the exact same situation, but all of our perspectives are different because we're all different. So you can be growing up at the same time, even if you're twins, you know.
Yeah.
My sister has a set of twins. Of course, one's a boy and one's a girl. So, you're going to have different perspectives. But I think that goes back to even just like not getting on to someone about saying, well, is that something you're really grateful for? You're grateful that your kid only went through 10 diapers today instead of 14 at that season of life? Heck, yes. Right?
Yep.
Another season of life, you're like, what's the difference between four? It's not that big of a deal. But in that moment when you're going through that, and also finances and things like that, hey, 4 diapers a day adds up to, I don't have to buy diapers for another month and a half versus every month. So I think that's where sometimes we can get judgy about people and the word gratitude, because we can be surface level, or if you want to, we can actually drop deeper and be that authentic, be present, right? And being authentic. But I really do think you have to have that stillness of really taking in how you're feeling, how the environment that's around you. So I think that sometimes it can get a bad rap. I really do, with gratitude. People just go through the motions, and I'm like, well, you can go through the motions, but when you tend to drop in, you'll really feel it deep down. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's when you really start, it's easy to be grateful. I mean, we're obviously grateful for our friends and family, like everybody is.
Yeah.
Um, but when you really start to like pick out the little things of your daily life, and it's like the things, but you have to pause to do that. You have to pause to think about that. And you're like, oh my, and once you take a little bit of inventory of that, like you can be like, wow, like there's a lot of good stuff going on here. And the same thing with the negative, and pausing to be grateful for hard times, or negative experiences, or those hard days as a young mom. It's like you that's someday, for all of us, none of us are grandmas yet, but like some days all those hard experiences are going to bless us in being a grandma, and being and helping our children through the next step. And but there's just so much to be said for like stepping back and being, oh, I'm thankful for that, because and I think that's a big part of it. I am thankful, and then why, like the because part, the second half of it, and why are you thankful for that? I had a prompting book once for anybody who's like looking at like, how do I even get started in this? Like, I can't sit and pause, or I can't do that. That's not me. That's not me to like sit and think about that. If you want to start, there are a lot of journals out there that are prompting journals, and it will even like give you little things every day to think beyond beyond the next thing. It might give you what a prompt of I'm grateful for, and it'll give you something like pick something out of your day job, or something that you noticed as you were driving to work today. Like it'll give you prompts, and those are very helpful. I had one once but it really focused on that, the gratefulness of I am thankful, and then you had to fill in the second section of because, and that took your brain another step further.
Mhm. So I'm going to bring up this one, not trying to get political or anything like that, but my husband and I were sitting here the other night with the shutdown and everything like that, and we were just talking about where they had, whether you believe in it or not, but the suspension of the SNAP money and WIC and things like that, and trying to figure out how we could help people in our community in different ways. And we just sat there and, we were talking about how maybe, all of us could make different adjustments in our lives. And I just sat there and I really thought back, and I had immense gratitude to the point where it almost brought me to tears, because When we got done with undergrad, we got married, had a baby 2 years later, and actually when I was like 7 months pregnant, I decided I should go to grad school, and everybody thought I'd lost my mind, and pregnancy hormones had taken over, and we took a leap of faith. I really do believe I don't think I gave myself enough um, understanding as to how big that was in our lives, that we would have it changed the trajectory of our lives and how hard it was. And I don't say it often. I'm going to say it here on the internet. I remember saying, "Don't tell my grandmother this." But when I was in grad school, we qualified for food stamps for 6 months, and we got on WIC. We were able to get that for a year. And I know that without that support and that help, it wasn't a handout, it was a hand up, that now I was able to go through school, get through grad school, and now continue to try to help someone else that is in that space. But I had immense gratitude for those things that we were able to have during that time, because we didn't have a lot of money. We did not have things.
Yeah.
And I know that it could have been a lot worse, but I just sat here and I said to him, I'm like, our lives would have been so different. Do you realize, not only for me deciding to go, but Justin to say yes. Yep, because I said, I think I want to go to grad school. And he probably had other thoughts in his brain, but he's like, okay, where are we moving to? I'm like, well, first I got to apply. But just that, I'm willing to row with you. I'm willing to figure that out. And so I'm just saying, sometimes it's not necessarily in what happened right now. It's also
Yeah.
being retrospective and thinking, okay, what are the things and the hard decisions? Maybe in those moments we thought the world and the universe or God was against us, right? And but thinking back, how maybe one decision had changed the trajectory of our lives. And that is one. I remember that we had no money. We had been out of school for a couple years, and debt was piling up, and we weren't living nowhere near like we live now. I'm just saying. And so I really sat there and thought long and hard. And I also thought, you know what? When I grew up, we didn't have a lot, but I never went to bed hungry. And I was
Yeah. Yeah.
grateful for that in that moment too. Justin and I talked about that, saying, we might not have had a lot. And, I can remember, stretching a lot of things over time, figuring things out while I was growing up. And even when our kids were young and when I was going through grad school, but we never went to bed hungry. And I didn't want that for any other kid.
Yeah.
And so that spurred us to make decisions to try to share with others. So I'm just saying, gratitude can look so many ways. It can show up in so many different ways.
Yeah, just in that, everything you just said there right now, like you're grateful for the whole experience of that time of your life. You're grateful for your husband for supporting you and saying, yeah, let's do this. You're grateful that you were able to finish school and what that brought to your life. You're grateful for being able to give now in this point of your life, all the way back to your childhood. Like, you covered so many things right in that like little paragraph right there. Yeah.
And just like even today, Justin and I got a text to say, so a friend of ours was up in Minot saying, hey, I'm sitting here with so and so and so and so, and they're telling us stories, and Justin says, don't believe anything they say. And I sent back, I'm like, those people, it makes me get teary-eyed just thinking about it. I'm like, that was a time that was really hard in our lives. Like I said, I was going to grad school, and a lot of it was at night. And Justin would take Gracie in the baby carrier and set her in the basketball, like the cart that would move around. And he was coaching basketball because that helped us have more money. And everybody just rallied around us in that space. And so two of these people that friend was talking to, they didn't know each other before today. But they were and I just said they were people that helped us find a life that felt like home. And that was just, yeah, it's catching me up right now. But that gratitude that people, you never know how you show up in someone's life if you never see them again. Just how that something that you do could be pivotal in that other person's life. And that's what I think the word gratitude, even though for some people it can feel so bland or little, for me, I see it like a sun and just has rays that come out of it because it's just, and I'm not saying every minute of every day do you feel that way, but I think that's the only way that life can keep going on or that you
Yeah.
can go on, you know?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hmm. Yeah.
I love hearing both of your stories. I know people are gonna be like, well, of course you're gonna say that, but I am so thankful for both of you. I know when Jenny and I first started talking, like this was the reason, right? Was to bring women together and share stories and share experiences and kind of talk about the stuff that makes us teary-eyed or the stuff that makes us laugh until we have a stomach ache. Um, so I'm just extremely thankful for you both, especially last week. These two ladies during the holiday market, I'm telling you, my brain was like all over the place doing things. But for everyone listening, we had a really great holiday market in the Real Joy Project Facebook group. We brought together about 10 women owned small businesses, and they were virtual vendors in the event. I myself was a vendor as the Habit Mama. um, but there was just extra things last week, and I am so appreciative and thankful of you both for stepping up and doing some like picking up the slack for me last week. I know at the beginning we talked like, of course we're thankful for our friends, of course we're thankful for our family, but I'm just extremely thankful for this opportunity and your willingness to, welcome me as a teammate and a friend too, but also for just sharing some real life things, things that I have yet to even experience, or the things that I'm currently going through that you're like, yeah, I've been there, done that. Like, here's my piece of advice, right? So I'm just extremely thankful for you both.
Well, thank you. I'm grateful that you two started it and then you allowed me to like get on the ship, you know? Because here's the thing, I think that I say again that I am blessed so many times over that God has allowed me to have so many different connections. Again, Jenny Lee and I have talked about this numerous times, and I've said it even with you, Shelby, that I have all my life, there's always been pockets of groups of people. They don't necessarily always last a lifetime, but just the pockets of people that God has put in my place or in my path or the universe, whatever you believe. But that's I know that I am blessed that way and that not everybody has that. And so that's what I think is also the beautiful part of this, the Real Joy Project, is that we understand that sometimes you might be a person in a city of 22,000 or I don't know, 200,000 and but you still are feeling alone and that you're not connecting with anyone and you want that friendship. And so we may not be able to, be able to pull up a chair in your living room, but maybe be able to give you that sense that we feel you, we see you. When you guys leave your comments, that means a lot to us, and we take that seriously, and that we've all been at those times. Actually, I just said that to one of my friends. I remember when we moved after we got done with undergrad, and we moved to our little house in Dickinson, and one of the friends like sent out, this was before text messaging, but just told anybody, hey, if you call Nikki, plan on an hour. If you can't tell, I can talk to just about anybody. She just told everybody that, like, hey, Nikki, this transition's real hard because I didn't know anybody in the town, and so prepare yourself for a good hour and a half on the phone when you call her. And so that was, I remember those times in my life that was hard to find friendships and find that connection. And I know that that's kind of a buzzword that a lot of people are using now, but I think it's because so many people are searching for it, they're yearning for it, they're craving it, but they don't know. Sometimes we think we find it and then you get in and you're like, oh, that's not where I meant to be, or this person is different than I thought. And so really that like it was for that moment. It's not a lifelong friendship, but some people are like JennyLee said earlier, you know, that person that wasn't so great. I think we've all had those. And you're like, "Grr," and it was an okay thing that you took a left turn, right?
Yeah. They project you to somebody else or an open door that you are supposed to be going to. So yeah, yeah, those connections and I think we can leave, you can almost think of connections as roads, like when they say, you know, the road less taken, or you know, which way you're going to turn, left or right. But I look at those connections. I'm so grateful for all the different years, you know, of friends I have from junior high still that I might get to see once or twice a year, but we pick up from the moment we left off. And I think as the more we grow as adults, the more we realize that's okay. We're in junior high, you're like, oh, my friend doesn't talk to me in 2 days. They don't love me anymore, you know? Now it's like, well, I haven't spoken to her in 4 years, but man, when we get together, you know, it's not gonna, you know, like you could spend a week together and never shut up, you know, like you're gonna talk the whole time. Yeah, there's just, whether it's your significant others or your children or your family or your friends, or those even associates, just the people that come in and out of our lives. Sometimes it's just somebody who complimented you, a stranger that gave you a small compliment during the day. Yeah, there's being grateful for people in general, and the connections that we make, whether they are the smallest speck or they are a landmine in your life, is, I think, absolutely necessary.
Yeah. I love that you said that because we don't want anybody like our close friends and family to think that we're not grateful for them, right? Um, all of those people that are in our immediate family, like our husbands, all three of our husbands are very supportive of us, and we wouldn't be able to do what we do without their support. And the same with our kids. And so we're grateful for them, but we also want people to understand that we're social beings. As a school psychologist, I mean, I know that at my core, I've seen it, and we all crave it. And so, you know, but in different doses and in different ways, and that's okay. And so I think that's a great way to end for today, is that we have immense gratitude for each of us, as you've heard us say how much we love each other. We love each other's families, that they've allowed us to be to where we are now, and the friends that have brought us or that we've found along the way. But most importantly, we're really grateful for all of you that are following along on our journey. And if you think that there's someone out there that would want to you know, would benefit from this and would like to have, you think they would want this type of connection to, please share this with them, and know that we're thinking about you through the holidays. And if you're watching this before the holidays or afterwards, because how the internet works, you just never know where that's going to land. But know that we are grateful and we have tremendous gratitude for you. JennyLee, will you remind us what we need to do?
Yes, but hi, Shelby, do you have any closing words
Yes,
before
sorry.
we?
No, go for it.
Okay.
She's like, we? Oh, yeah, we.
And I also just want to say though, before we leave today, I want to encourage those of you that are listening is to drop something in the comments below. What are you grateful for today? Please, you can list your friends and family, absolutely, but I want you to think one step beyond that. Like, think of something small that happened to you today that you are grateful for, and put that in the comments, and think about how you might practice your gratitude in the future. These ladies talked about how they like to do it at night. I do it in the morning before my feet hit the floor. Some days it's simply, oh, thank you for this bed. I really don't want to get out of it right now, but thank you for this
Yeah.
bed. But I just try to walk through certain things, and of course, go through my family and all that, but find what works for you. Maybe it's when you sit down with your coffee. Maybe it could be while you're driving to work in the morning. Like, just and it is a practice. When they talk about practicing gratitude, I really wanted to mention that today. It is a practice, just like everything else in life. You have to practice it to make it a habit. But it will be rewarding if you do. Yeah. All right. So don't forget to click the like button, subscribe, and click the little bell so that you get notifications when we drop new videos in here. And feel free to go check out the realjoyproject.com also. That will take you, and from there you can find our YouTube page, you can find our Facebook page, our Instagram page, and how to follow us there too. So, all right. So grateful for you two and everybody who's listening. And yeah, it's a good day, ladies.
All right. Thanks, ladies, for joining us.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yes, happy Thanksgiving.